What's going on in the world of EVs in Australia? That's what we're talking about today with Riz from Australia, Riz Akhtar, the founder of Carloop and writer for The Driven. Hello, Riz.
Hey, Adrian. Good to be on.
Yeah, good to have you back. Sort of we have an Australian roundup today, and I wanted to start with maybe just the latest sales figures.
It's
Got it.
good place to start. It seems that June is generally a pretty big month here in Australia when it comes to vehicle sales. The end of financial year deals and everything else that people have on. But this time around, it seems to be even better for electric vehicles as well.
Yeah, and Tesla Model Y leading the pack like in so many other markets.
Yeah, it dominated pretty much most of the sales for June. I think we sold 11,000 electric vehicles, or just a bit above that, and over 5,500 of them were the Model Y. So 50% of the total sales in the month was the Tesla Model Y, which, is a relatively expensive electric car if you compare it to the BYD Atto 3 and the MG ZS EV.
Yeah. And then it's sort of pretty much Chinese-owned companies with your Attos, apart from the Model 3, MG ZS EV.
Polestar, Volvos, seems to be a pretty interesting trend. And then you can see the huge drop, right? Like after basically sort of Volvo XC40 recharge, and Kia EV6 is pretty close to that, but then it just drops right down. Anything under 100 EVs sold a month.
I was most surprised that where is it? That BMW i7 that sold 9 of them, because I was about to sit in one of those a few weeks ago, and I was like, when they told us the price, it was just like jaw dropping.
What is it in New Zealand? Like around 280,000 or more?
288,000. The model we were in. And I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah, it
was really nice. It was just like, I don't want to scratch it or anything.
Yes. The Model Y now has officially surpassed the Model 3 as Australia's best-selling car. Previously, for the last couple of years since the Model 3 launch, that's sort of been up there. But now Model Y has overtaken that, as you said earlier, Adrian, like in many other markets around the world. When it launches within the first 12 months or so, it takes the top lead around electric vehicles. So it's done that here in Australia as well.
Is there a specific, obviously that people love the car, but is there a specific reason people are saying for that?
A lot of it is to do with the fact that, Australians like space, family SUVs. SUVs are popular everywhere, but last year, 53% of all vehicles was an SUV. And then you've got your utes or pickup trucks making up, I think, a quarter of them. And then your sedans and your hatchbacks and wagons. I can't even think of many that are available as a wagon anymore, let alone electric wagons. We haven't, I think, apart from the Porsche Taycan, which you can order in the Cross Turismo, there isn't any wagons. So yeah, SUVs just dominate our roads.
Yeah, and you just sort of mentioned the price drops. So is that sort of seems to be like a competition for the cheapest EV coming on a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit of that as well, but particularly for Model Y, what's interesting is, unlike New Zealand where there's one transport department and there is one set of subsidies as the clean car discount, here in Australia we have every state and territory has their own thing, and then the federal government has some higher level taxation discounts on, if you buy to lease an electric car, and it's exempted at a higher rate from luxury car tax for electric vehicles. So that's at federal level, but at state level, a lot of the states and territories have their own rebate schemes, and they have a cap. So if it's under 68,000 for most states, Then there is a $3,000 rebate, or there's free stamp duty. Oh, sorry, not free, free registration or no stamp duty. So there's multiple different incentives that are currently going on. So Model Y has previously been a bit above 68,000, but after last week's price cuts, it brings it under that, and it's just going to open the floodgates for tens of thousands of people now, who can then save another $3,000 on top of the what's currently on offer, which already is $3,500 cheaper than about 8 days ago.
Yeah. Sort of the go-to. It's sort of like a default, isn't it, really? Just go Tesla.
Well, pretty much, right? When people think of electric cars, people think about Tesla, and
I do. I just think white Tesla.
That's it's a new. I don't know. Here there's in the US there's a joke around. In California, it's like the new Tesla's the new Californian Camry. So I don't know what is the most, let's say, the popular car in New Zealand. Is it the Camry Corolla or?
No, well, I guess probably the Toyota Corolla. It was a Hilux for a while, but now it's the Ford's overtaken that. I guess the Toyota Corolla would be our standard go-to car in the past.
So the Model Y is basically Australia's new Toyota Camry or a Ford Falcon or a Holden Commodore.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
So that's right. That's sort of what's going on at sort of upper end of the market when it comes to high number of sales. Then we've got some other brands that made it to the list this time round. One of them happens to be Cupra Born, which I know is a Volkswagen product, and this was sort of the first month of some major deliveries, around 84 cars. And according to Cupra, they've sold over 1,000 of them. So the sales numbers in Australia are actually deliveries. So what's delivered to the customers, not technically what's being sold.
Do you think trend's just going to continue for the Tesla Ys for the rest of the year?
I think so. I think there is a lot of leasing is a big way people purchase a car in Australia. So a lot of leasing companies now are coming on board, trying to look like they're greener by saying, hey, you're going to be replacing your, let's say, Toyota RAV4 hybrid, right? Your 3-year lease is up. Adrian, you've got to replace your car. Just to keep you as a customer, we can say, well, do you know you can actually buy a sort of, a very well-rounded Tesla Model Y for the same monthly repayments as a mid-spec Toyota RAV4. Because that's the tax benefits that, federal government is starting to put out, where we have no fringe benefit tax on these vehicles anymore. So if you buy a petrol or diesel car or a hybrid, you have to pay fringe benefit tax, and that bumps your leasing costs right up. So now if you can buy a Tesla Model Y for cheaper than you can, or your repayments are lower than a Toyota RAV4, I'm sure people are going to be like, wow, this is great. So I think that trend will continue. A lot of leasing companies have, in Australia, hundreds of thousands of customers. So you can imagine now Tesla selling is being done by these leasing companies. And same with the BYD Atto 3 as well. That's also heading down the same path.
And everyone can start plastering sustainability on the side of all their new vehicles. Businesses on a mission of sustainability. That's what they started the Fieldays. Everyone was like, it was sustainable. Everything's sustainable now.
Well,
there were a lot of good people, but it just seemed to be like, that was the new buzzword. Sustainable.
Look, Adrian, next year I'd love to come to Fieldays. I didn't realize there was such a sort of electric vehicle focus. Like here I was in Tasmania last August, I think, and they had the agricultural expo or something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah.
The Australian Electric Vehicle Association were there. I never got a chance to go, even though I was in the state, but that was very much agricultural focused. With a little bit of sustainability, where Fieldays sounds like more sustainability.
Yeah, definitely come over. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like even Toyota, they had the hydrogen.
Mirai?
No, not the car. They had their like power
Fueling-
charger.
Oh,
The
fueling
big-
station.
Yeah, this has been partly run on hydrogen.
Oh.
So that all they had was the petrol Hiluxes on was selling, which was a little bit funny. But yeah, there was like this Toyota. There was obviously BYD. Who else was here? Volkswagen with the ID4, ID5. And then there was some a lot of sustainable people, which I interviewed a few of those were really interesting. But then there was other things like I think like tractors. There was an electric tractor. There's electric other things as well, which you wouldn't normally be looking for, but were very interesting to see what was happening.
Yeah. It's really interesting, last couple of months, New Zealand's really come in the spotlight here in Australia. I mean, I do a lot of articles on the the winter testing. What is it? The southern the winter testing grounds. How amazing is that? We have that in it.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I emailed them a couple of days ago for it, see if I could interview someone, but haven't heard back yet. But I'd love to go there.
You've got it. I mean, like that's fantastic. Like Tesla does so much testing down there, and there's a whole lot of Cybertrucks running around. Which imagine that. Like you can see a Cybertruck in New Zealand, but you can't see it anywhere else apart from California or Texas.
Yeah, I was just looking. I might look at the air prices just to go have a look. Drive. I wonder if they just drive past. They must have high security, I guess.
Well, there's I did come across a tweet from there's a Twitter account called Cybertruck NZ, I think, and this gentleman, whoever's running it, I mean, I would assume it's a gentleman, could actually be a lady as well. Whoever's running it, they seem to be able to get as close to the fence to be able to take a video footage of the Cybertruck testing. Mm-hmm. So it must be open to a certain degree unless they work there.
Yeah, I might have a look. That'd be awesome. I saw there's that famous, lots of views of it was coming off the plane.
Yes.
I think every Tesla fans watched it about a million times. That was a good clip.
Oh, look, I think it's exciting to see so much action in electric vehicle space. I'm actually more excited about what's going on in New Zealand than here. Slowly, a lot of the cars that you've had for over 12 months are starting to trickle down.
Yeah, I was surprised. I've heard a few people say that, and I was like, oh, you haven't got there already? Because you just sort of presume Australia gets stuff before us.
It's no longer the case. I think the clean car discount has really encouraged manufacturers to bring more electric cars to New Zealand, and that's what we have lacked for a while. And it's really interesting, BYD launching cars or unveiling cars in New Zealand and delivering cars before we get them here, which is, I think it's a great thing that, the brothers across in New Zealand are getting that quicker than we are, which is, at least it gives people here confidence that, hey, it's good quality products, and, a lot of the Kiwi owners are very happy with them.
Yeah. Actually, there was a bit of a news story when they did the Dolphin coming up, being released at a much lower price in Australia compared to New Zealand. That's made a few news stories. It was like everyone was hoping for it to be low here, and then it sort of hasn't been quite as.
But one thing though, there is Sorry, I shouldn't say this because I don't represent BYD New Zealand, but from what I can gather, there is discounts available on the Atto 3, like they had a Fieldays special, or I get those sort of emails, right? So we don't get that here. We don't get, there isn't any special. It's basically what the price is. So the price may be higher, but it doesn't mean that there won't be a time where it could be lower.
Yeah.
As the competition increases.
They've actually said they actually are targeting that, like talking about before, the fleet market is their primary market anyway, which was an interesting point.
And I guess the other thing, so just from an Australian news point of view, Great Wall Motors and their Aura, it used to be called the Aura Cat or the Funky Cat or whatever it is, but now it's just GWM Aura. That's what they're calling it.
Yeah. It
was supposed to be released in April, and it never came. I think the first proper delivery started in June, and they had about 65-watt sales or something like that from memory in that table you were showing earlier for Australian sales. Now, just on Thursday or Friday, actually maybe Thursday, they've now lowered the price again. So I don't know whether it's a lack of sales or the way they've launched that car. Oh yeah, there we go. The GWM Aura, $4,000 has been cut off that price. So, for those looking at the Dolphin, you never know. It may be a better time to buy a little later on.
Yeah.
But, I'm not across all the clean car discounts and when it ends or when there is modifications or lowering of that. But it could possibly be, a good thing.
Maybe just, is there a car you're sort of looking for? Oh, no, has it sort of been a brand that's impressed you maybe over the last month or so the most? Just maybe just do a car or a brand? So they're doing well?
So, look, I think BYD as a brand is going to be doing some really interesting things. I was at the Dolphin launch here, and they did it at SeaWorld, which is a theme park.
Was that where it was?
Yeah, it was at SeaWorld, and they've actually got up on the Gold Coast, and they've got I don't even know what the right word is, like a mini man-made lake with dolphins in them. So it was, the dolphins were in the background, and then they had the BYD Dolphin drive out, and they did this whole show. It was pretty cool, but I think BYD as a brand has a very, very promising future. So does Tesla, for that instance. But I think it's going to be a couple of years before we see a more affordable Tesla. So, that BYD and Tesla are very exciting brands. When it comes to something that I've had a chance to drive in the last month or so that I was pretty impressed with, would be the Cupra Born. We're getting deliveries of them now, and I was very impressed. And, I'm a car person, and, I don't mind a warm hatch. And that car was fun to drive, and it felt a little bit sporty, and all of those things were great. It's a bit on the pricey end for a hatchback. It's $65,000 drive away in Victoria, in my state.
79.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
79 over here.
Yeah.
Because I went to drive it as well, but I got stuck in traffic, so I just had to pull on the side of the road basically and do my review. It was good, yeah. But because the Skoda Enyaq, that was at 109 or something. No,
Yeah.
99, and they just dropped it down to the same price as the Cupra Born.
Oh, well,
Same Volkswagen group.
yeah. Well, that's really good to hear about the Skoda, and yet we haven't even got a Skoda here yet, like an electric one.
Oh yeah, the Enyaq. Yeah, I quite like the Enyaq. It was quite fun. But yeah, that's now the same price as the Cupra Born.
So then the Cupra Born is, like I said, a bit over, like it is expensive. It's a different type of car, but it's fun. I wished it had Android Automotive built in, like the Polestar or the Volvos do. It does have Android Auto, which is where you plug your phone in, or CarPlay, but it doesn't have an inbuilt Android Automotive system, which, talks to your steering wheel controls and a whole lot of other things. That was my only thing that I thought, if that could be changed. It's a pretty cool, fun car, but to a lot of people moving from an ICE car, it's not an issue. They'd plug their phones into their ICE cars, and they'll plug it in this car. But yeah, that was a fun car. I was very impressed with. And it looks different, as you would have noticed in your test drive as well, Adrian.
That looks better than the ID3 with that new front. That should be that more aggressive front.
Yeah. And
Nice.
just on the ID3, globally, I think Volkswagen is struggling to get demand for that car. They're cutting prices, they're cutting production. So it would be interesting to see.
There was that recent story, wasn't it, when they said, they actually got the headline. It was strong customer reluctance. They're having to cut their production. People aren't buying our cars, basically, isn't it?
Well, and then in China, just even after that news, they've cut their prices. I think yesterday, massively, and Volkswagen China is a very, very important market for them, and they've lost huge market share in the last couple of years there.
Yeah, so they must be stressed about that. And they've already got a lot of debt as well, haven't they?
Yeah. So it's interesting to see how that's all changing, Adrian. And I guess in Australia and New Zealand, we are not, well, in Australia in particular, apart from the Cupra Born, we don't have another electric vehicle available from the Volkswagen Group.
Yeah. Anything? What about anything in sort of your carloop hat that people should be aware of, or just general how that's going with a?
Yeah, things are going well. I think we're certainly plugging a lot of data into what we're doing now, trying to help Australia transition. And one of the things so we're tracking, state by state, as I said earlier, Adrian, before the show, that we've got like 8 different transport departments in the country. So it's very hard to get them all together. So we've, done quite well in being able to track a lot of the data from what's happening at each state level. And because Australia is such a big country as well, land-wise, we sort of need to know what's happening at a more local level. So we've built a lot of data pipelines so that, it can be more localized. And the other thing is that there's a lot of interest in improving the charging infrastructure. So more chargers going in, I think is important. And some states are leading the pack, like New South Wales. Other states are just saying, we'll see what happens, which is not the right approach. So we're trying to bring everyone on the journey all around Australia by giving them the data to, empower Australia's EV revolution.
That's good. Any sort of final things you want to? Was it waiting time? Was there big waiting times for cars as well?
I think a lot has changed, Adrian. I actually, interestingly enough, was notified by someone at a couple of different brands that they've got stock now. So it seems like the stock is building up. So, I don't think there's been a better time to buy an electric car, given the options and the things that are available and the government subsidies and availability in terms of stock and inventory than sort of now. So if you're sort of sitting on the fence and you're not sure and you have, I guess, the ability to buy an electric car in terms of, finances sorted, I think it's worth test driving whatever you can. And you never know, it might be a good time to make the switch, because energy costs and electricity costs and fuel costs are only going to be going up, and electric, transport is the most affordable way to move around, whether you're in New Zealand or Australia.
That's probably a good positive point to finish on. Riz?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on, Adrian, and really good to chat.
Yep, and then get some Gumboots and come over next year for the Fieldays.
Look, I'm looking for the invite. If you know anyone, if you know the organizers, I think, look, either way, planning on doing
you
that.
Just go online and buy a ticket. You buy a ticket
and you come here. Yeah. No, to be honest, I would love to. I think, next year would be really, really cool. It'd be exciting time to see. There's so much happening.
Thanks for watching that video. Here's another video which I hope will also be of interest. And if you're thinking about it, a subscribe to the channel would be great.